Hi, this is Wendy. Welcome to my channel. Repetitive strain injuries can be a real problem for people who do a lot of knitting and crocheting. Lately I've noticed some more pain in my elbows and wrists and shoulders, and I decided to make something to make my stitching more ergonomic. So I created this pillow that I use on the couch to raise my hands and arms to a level that's more comfortable, so I can rest my arms on the pillow as I'm working. And it works really well. So I thought I would share with you how I made this. It's super cheap and super easy, and it came together in a couple of hours. So here's how I did it. I started with just a pair of jeans that I got for $1 at the thrift store, and I cut them off right at the top of the legs. I also cut one of the pockets, leaving a bit of a seam allowance around it of about 5/8 of an inch. Next, I crossed the legs of the jeans across each other. Now this is going to be somewhat personalized. You'll want to set them up at an angle that's comfortable for you. So take a couple of straight pins, go sit on your couch, and lay it out in a way that works for the way that your arms rest when you're knitting or crocheting, and to fit around your body. These marks show where I cut the legs, so I cut them up the center and a curve around the top. As I said, I also cut out a pocket, thinking that that would be a great place to store my crochet hook so it doesn't get lost in the couch, pair of scissors, that kind of thing. It's totally optional if you put the pocket on, of course. I sewed the edges of the pocket under, leaving a piece at the top to sew on to the pillow later. Then I trimmed off any excess. I'm not too worried about that raveling or anything. It's going to be folded over on top of the pillow, so I just left it like that. Then I sewed the seam of the leg parts together so that it looked like this, kind of a 90-degree angle, with the bottoms of the legs on the outside and the seamed part in the middle. The next step was to pin the pocket to just one side of the opening at the top, and I stitched that to the one side of the opening. Your stuffing will go in this opening later on. So that's what it looks like. You can see where you're going to put the stuffing in. And the next step then is to zigzag or serge around the edge of that opening. It's likely going to take some stretching when you put the stuffing in it, so you want to make sure that that edge is good and secure and sturdy. And later on you'll be hand sewing it, so it's important to make sure that that's a strong edge. And that's what it looks like when the edge was finished. The next step is to figure out how long the legs should be. So again, I tested it. I sat on my couch and I figured out sort of how far back my elbows are, added a little bit. You don't want it to be so long that it sits too far away from your body because the legs are touching the couch. So I trimmed off a little bit at the bottom of the legs and folded the one leg inside out over top of the other one so that I could make those match. Then turning it right side out again, you can see it makes kind of a wishbone shape. Now for the stuffing. I just cut up an old pillow like a bed pillow that I had around the house, and I used that stuffing. So it cost me next to nothing for this project, and it reused something instead of throwing it out. I stuffed them fairly firm. You can see they're nicely rounded here. My husband laughed at me because he thought it looked like a little pair of legs, and he has a point. So maybe the first thing I'll make for this is a crocheted cover so that it doesn't look so much like a tiny pair of jeans. But it does the job. That's the important thing. So there it is, all stuffed. The next step is the tricky part. So you're going to have to sew together that opening. What I did is just take the edge of the pocket and fold it up over the other side of the opening and step back by 1/2 inch or a centimeter or so and stitched it by hand onto there. I'm not so worried about that raw edge of the pocket showing because it will be flipped over and it's been finished off nicely, so it's not going to unravel, and it worked just fine. The last step of the sewing is to close off any openings that are still on the side, and make sure that you pick up from each side, again, about a centimeter or half an inch from the edge, so that it makes a nice folded under seam when you're done. And there is my pillow, all finished, sitting on the couch with the pocket for the tools. Again, maybe it looks a little funny, but it sure is more comfortable when I'm knitting and crocheting, and allows me to work longer without fatigue and pain in my arms and shoulders. So I hope you enjoyed this and you will make one for yourself. Drop me a comment and let me know if you made one. Send me a photo. Maybe you made a special cover for it. I'd love to see it. Thanks for joining me and have a super day.